Hello, this is Dino aka Axis, and welcome to another tutorial. This one's also gonna be in Cinema 4D, and it's gonna be how to make something like this. You can see on your screen here. This is an abstract C4D, or that's what I like to call them, and this one in particular is made out of some splines and LoftNURBs, and I read this technique some time ago in some tutorials, so I'm gonna show you how I do it. So it's gonna be a known technique in my own way, kinda. This is one of the examples. I think there's more. This is the same render as the one before, just in different view. This is something with, well, kinda white with green and blue lightning. This one pretty cool, black and orange. Yeah, let's do that to make this video faster. Alright, so as you can see in this one, for example, there were two objects, one black, one orange, and it's just about stacking these objects one onto the other. So that's what I'm gonna show you how to make. So let's head on to Cinema. I'm using Cinema R13, and yeah, the first thing I'm gonna do is change my render settings. I'm gonna use output screen, the biggest one here, and I'm gonna use a film aspect HDTV. Also, I'm gonna make this a PNG with alpha channel, and just choose where to save it and give it a name. I'm gonna use anti-aliasing, best, effect, ambient occlusion on default, global illumination on IR plus QMC, still image, and sharpen filter on about 5%. Alright, so the first things first, I'm gonna hit this little box here to bring out the top, front, right, and perspective view, and I'm gonna take my freehand tool, and in the top, front, and the right views I'm gonna draw something random, something like this, something completely, yeah, something like this will do just fine. Alright, go crazy, make a random shape, same thing here. Okay, now in all three kind of axes you will have three splines lying around, as you can see. Also here, I don't know if you have any, I have some unclosed splines here also, and if you click on each spline there's a closed spline, so select all and make sure the closed spline is checked. Alright, will just look much better when the splines are closed. So we have these three. Now we drop in a LoftNURB and drop these three splines inside of a LoftNURB, and what happens, you get this random shape kinda. And what I don't like about this shape as it is, I don't know if you have this on yours, it depends from these splines. You have different than I, of course, and you can see some flat surfaces here, this big one here, this here, and the way to quickly fix that is just to check loop on the LoftNURB object, check in loop. That gives you a much nicer object, much smoother, more connected, more consistent object. And the fun part about this LoftNURB is this mesh subdivision U. Let's change that to, I don't know, 33, maybe 11. Okay, different number, different look, right? This is pretty cool, and this is why I most often use these kind of C4Ds, because out of one object you change a number, you have a different object, and that's pretty powerful. At least in my opinion it is. and I've made tons of C4Ds with this. Alright, so once you have, for example, this, you copy this one, change its subdivision, I don't know, to about 9, move it around, position it until, well, how you see fit, it doesn't matter, something like this. Alright, now let's just continue doing that. So taking an object, taking a LoftNURB, changing its subdivisions there and moving it around, maybe even scaling it up and down. Alright, so this is, like I said, all about stacking. Stack one object onto the other and so on. You can even, for example, select all of these now and group them inside of a null with Alt and G, and let's say we drop in a twist. So I'm gonna take a twist, I'm gonna rotate it by 90 degrees, I'm gonna set the mode to unlimited and angle to about, I don't know, 40. I'm just gonna drop it inside of our null here. As you can see, it's already doing its thing, and if I now take this null, rotate it around, copy it, rotate it around, right, set it somewhere like here, like this, maybe even scale it down a bit. Now I open it up, I change the twist to say a -31, and I change each of these LoftNURBs its subdivisions. For example, I go a little bigger here, maybe lower, whoops, let's just set that back, something like this, and then you can do this all over again by copying these two. Now let's say we put this one here. Alright, for example, open them up, change this, maybe this. You can even take the twist and rotate it till you get something different. Okay, so like I said, all about stacking and making one object onto the other, connecting. Okay, so say we take all of this now. You can even add another twist on this whole thing here, but I wouldn't usually, but for the sake of tutorial, let's do that. With this unlimited, let's add something very small like 36, because otherwise you'll get a real messed up look. That's not what we really want. Okay, this actually looks pretty good. As you can see, what's the twist doing. So we can copy this, take the twist, rotate it to, I don't know, something like this, then again take the whole this thing here. It's a lot of grouping together and moving around, but the result is pretty cool, like this, right? Now let's group these one last time, Alt G, so we have them all inside of big null. And the reason I use them all inside of a big null, because you know, everything inside just one null, so that we can apply HyperNURBs to this. So HyperNURBs, I believe you all know what HyperNURBs does. It kind of rounds up the geometry here and makes things look much nicer. Okay, so let's make some materials for this. The quickest way to make these would be to load an image. So let's, I don't know, load some kind of image onto this. Let me just find one. Let's see, desktop. Okay, have this planet one. Let's check it out. This one looks just fine, actually pretty good, because you can see it's darker in the edges and has a pretty nice two-tone center. Alright, so I'm gonna open this up. I'm gonna uncheck the specular. I'm just gonna go under color where the texture is, I'm gonna load a layer, texture layer, so I can add an effect, hue, saturation. I'm gonna bring up the saturation. I might even go inside the image, add some exposure so that it's a bit brighter. Yeah, this looks good. Let's add also some reflection to this. Let's go reflection, texture Fresnel. I'll use something like this. Maybe even change the Fresnel color to something like blue, to this dark green kind of. Yeah, okay, this looks okay. I'm gonna add some, where is this, specular? Yeah, I'm gonna add some specular, something small, even maybe change the color to light green or light blue. Alright, so once you're done with your texture, just drop it onto the either the HyperNURB or the null. I think everything will work. Okay, now you get something like this. Although you can even make your own materials, but let's stick with the simple version, the image version. Okay, you can use any image. I could have used, for example, something else. Let me see. Maybe even this. What's this? Yeah, you could use this, although without the this here, but never mind. So this looks pretty cool, but it's missing some lightning, of course, and some reflections. So we're gonna add first the light, then a sky to reflect off. Alright, so I'm gonna add a plane. I'm gonna make it big, something like this. I'm gonna duplicate it, drag one up, drag the other one down, so we have both kind of one above, one below. Just don't make them too close because you'll get too much light, so it will be too bright. Yeah, something like this will do. Hit C, maybe even rotate this around, something like this. Alright, this will do just fine. I'm gonna make a new material, just luminance, on about 166, alright? And I'm gonna drop these onto our planes. Yep, and I'm gonna select both of them, right click and add compositing tags to them, and I'm gonna uncheck scene by camera so that these won't be visible by the renderer, so they won't be visible at all. I'm gonna uncheck scene by reflection because I don't want these planes to reflect on my abstract here, the HyperNURB thing. Let's add a sky, and for that we're gonna use a new material, and inside the color I'm gonna load an HDRI. If you don't have an HDRI, I'm sure Google will find you something. Whoops, I have several packs here from which I take the HDRIs. For example, this Grayscale Gorilla pack, and I'm gonna use, I don't know what I'm gonna use, something simple, maybe this. Yeah, this will do just fine. I might also add a layer here so that I can change the hue. Let's add some saturation so we know what the hue actually is. Okay, this will look pretty good. I have some kind of a bluish here, sort of, and something orange. And I'm gonna just drag this to the sky. I'm gonna right click, compositing. As you can see, our sky is automatically reproduced in the cinema as the sky, and if I uncheck scene by camera, it won't be visible anymore, and I'm gonna uncheck scene by GI so that it doesn't interact with any of the global illumination. Okay, so the fun part now is to take this HyperNURB and right click on this 2 arrowhead zoom icon and zoom out while right clicking. So you'll see it's starting kind of to deform our view, and if you left click and zoom back in, you have the zoom effect, which is really cool. And just don't overuse it. I mean, you can do something like this, alright, but I don't really use that. I just something like this usually works fine for me. And just position your render until you're happy with how it looks. Maybe you can even take the render and scale it up. Maybe that's an easier option than just adjusting your camera. You can even rotate it till it fits a bit better. Yeah, something like this. Okay, once you're done with adjusting, just hit render, and hopefully it should start to render with the global illumination first, of course. Just zoom back out so you can see what's going on. Yep, and I'll pause and I'll be back as soon as this is rendered. Okay, so this is still rendering, but as you can see, this is how it's gonna look like when it's completely rendered. Just, you know, a bit different is all. What I did here now, while this was rendering, I just took a different image. As you can see, some smudge effect, I don't know whatever this is, added some hue, applied it. It was already applied. I just took this and, you know, rotated this around till I got something again completely different but similar, you know, something like this. Okay, and just render this out when this is finished. And this is how I make these 99% of times. You can go even inside like this. I don't know, maybe this will look cool, but anyways, you can see the shape, and it's slowly rendering out the image that's projected onto this. And yep, that's about it. Thank you for watching. This was Dino aka Access bringing you another tutorial, and I'll hope to see you again in the next one.